meet the army of Canaan. They fought the Canaanites bravely, without thinking of their own safety. Allah granted them victory, and David lived to return to Saul. Saul plots to kill David. Unfortunately, this only increased Saul's fear, so he plotted to kill David, such a jealous that not even a daughter's well-being mattered. Michal learned of her father's plan and hurried to warn her husband. David gathered some food and things, mounted his camel, and fled. He found a cave in which he remained hidden for many days. After a time, David's brothers and some citizens joined forces with him. Saul's position became very weak, for he began to rule with a heavy hand. He ill-treated the learned, tortured the reciters of the Talmud, and terrorized his soldiers. This worsened his position, and his subjects began to turn against him. He decided to go war against David. Hearing this news, David marched to confront Saul's army. David forgives Saul. The king's army had traveled a great distance and was overcome by fatigue, so they decided to rest in a valley where they fell asleep. Quietly, David crept up to the sleeping Saul, removed his spear, and cut off a piece of his garment with the sword. David then awakened the king and told him, "O king, you come out seeking me, but I do not hate you, and I do not want to kill you. If I did, I would have killed you when you were asleep. Here is a piece of your garment. I could have hacked your neck instead, but I did not. My mission is that of love, not malice." The king realized his mistake and begged for forgiveness. David becomes king. Time passed and Saul was killed in a battle in which David did not take part. David succeeded Saul, for the people remembered what he had done for them and elected him king. So it was that David the prophet was also a king. Allah strengthened the dominion of David and made him victorious. His kingdom was strong and great. His enemies feared him without engaging in war with him. David's son Solomon. David had a son named Solomon, who was intelligent and wise from childhood. When the following story took place, Solomon was 11 years old. One day, David was sitting as usual solving the problems of his people when two men, one of whom had a field, came to him. The owner of the field said, "O dear prophet, this man's sheep came to my field at night and ate up the grapes, and I have come to ask for compensation." David asked the owner of the sheep, "Is this true?" He said, "Yes, sir." David said, "I have decided that you give him your sheep in exchange for the field." Solomon, to whom Allah had given wisdom in addition to what he had inherited from his father, spoke up, "I have another opinion. The owner of the sheep should take the field to cultivate until the grapes grow, while the other man should take the sheep and make use of their wool and milk until his field is repaired. If the grapes grow and the field returns to its former state, then the field owner should take his field and give back the sheep to their owner." David responded, "This is a sound judgment. Praise be to Allah for gifting you with wisdom. You are truly Solomon the wise." David as a ruler. Prophet David was a just and righteous ruler who brought peace and prosperity to his people, and whom Allah honored as a messenger. He delivered Allah's message to the people through the precious gift of his melodious voice. When he recited the Psalm Zabur, it was as if the rest of creation chanted with him. People listened as if in a trance. The messages David delivered are famous and well remembered. They are known in the Bible as the Psalms or Songs of David. David divided his working day into 4 parts: one to earn a living and to rest, one to pray to his Lord, one to listen to the complaints of his people, and the last part to deliver his sermons. He also appointed deputies to listen to his subjects' complaints, so that in his absence people's problems might not be neglected. Although a king, he did not live on the income of his kingdom, being well experienced in the craft of weapon making. He made and sold weapons and lived on that income. Angels teach David about fairness. One day, as David was praying in his prayer niche, he ordered his guards not to allow anyone to interrupt him. But 2 men managed to enter and disturb him. "Who are you?" he asked. One of the men said, "Do not be frightened. We have a dispute and have come for your judgment." David said, What is it?" The first man said, "This is my brother, has 99 sheep, and I have one. He gave it to me, but took it back." David, without hearing from the other party, said, He did you wrong by taking the sheep back, and many partners oppress one another, except for those who are believers. The 2 men vanished like a cloud, and David realized that they were 2 angels sent to him to teach him a lesson. He should not have passed a judgment without hearing from the opposing party. Almighty Allah told us of this incident, and as the news of the litigants reached you, when they climbed over the wall into his mihrab, a praying place or a private room, when they entered in upon David, he was terrified of them. They said, "Fear not, we are 2 litigants, one of whom has wronged the other. Therefore, judge between us with truth, and treat us not with injustice, and guide us to the right way. Verily, this is my brother in religion, has 99 ewes, while I have only 1 ewe, and he says, 'Hand it over to me,' and he overpowered me in speech." David said immediately, without listening to the opponent, "He has wronged you in demanding your ewe in addition to his ewes. And verily many partners oppress one another, except those who believe and do righteous good deeds, and they are few." And David guessed that we have tried him, and he sought forgiveness of his Lord, and he fell down prostrate and turned to Allah in repentance. So we forgave him that, and verily for him is a near access to us, and as good place of final return, paradise. O David, verily we have placed you as a successor on earth. So judge you between men in truth and justice, and follow not your desire, for it will mislead you from the path of Allah. Verily, those who wander astray from the path of Allah shall have a severe torment, because they forgot the day of reckoning. The death of the Prophet David. David worshipped Allah, glorified him, and sang his praise until he died. According to traditions, David died suddenly and was mourned for 4,000 priests, as well as thousands of people. It was so hot that people suffered from the intensity of the sun. Solomon called the birds to protect David and the people from the sun, and they did so until he was buried. This was the first sign of his dominion to be witnessed by the people.